All right, roll up, fam. Today I'm finally going to tell you guys the story of how I met and got connected to my CSF leak doctor. Now, I know that a lot of you guys are curious in this story simply because it's part of my story. And you've been watching along on YouTube for years and years, from when I thought I was diagnosed with migraine properly, to when I learned that I thought I was misdiagnosed, to when I tried so hard to get connected to a leak doctor and just kept getting gaslit. And then I even got on the Dr. Phil show for all of the gaslighting that I've been through. And then finally, I got connected to this CSF Leak Specialist who's been treating me all throughout 2023. Some of you guys are here just because this is a big part of my story. Others of you, though, I know that you're here because you suspect that you are leaking yourself. And you're wanting to know how I got connected to my doctor to help you get connected to a doctor, or maybe even my doctor. However, I'm simply not comfortable sharing exactly who my doctor is publicly, especially when I'm needing to travel to see him like every 2 weeks. So I might reveal who he is later, but for now, I'm down to at least tell you guys the story. It is kind of a fun story because my YouTube is involved, but I didn't really get any like special YouTuber treatment, so it's not exciting like that. I mostly get really nice messages and really nice comments from people on here, including privately, like including in my DMs. But I have gotten some weird messages about my relationship with my doctor because people have been concerned that I got in with him because of YouTube, that I'm getting like this special treatment and earlier appointments or stuff like that just because I'm on YouTube. And guys, that's absolutely nuts. None of that happened. Me being on YouTube is involved with the story of how I met my doctor, but it's not involved at all with how I became a patient of his or how I got evaluated for my brain leak. Usually when I share my own personal stories on YouTube, it's to help you guys. It's because I want you guys to be able to follow in my footsteps and achieve the positive result that I was able to achieve for myself. And when it comes to finding your brain leak doctor, there's almost nothing more important in your life if you're a leaker, or if you suspect that you're a leaker. At the time that this doctor came into my life, just over a year ago, I was in that desperation mode. I was so desperate for anyone to like, just look at me for a leak, just evaluate me, please. But literally nobody would give me the light of day. Not even for like a spine MRI, which is nuts. And lo and behold, look at me, I did respond very, very well to brain leak treatment. So I ended up being right, but it was no easy task getting into a doctor who believed me. So I will admit that the one benefit that I had from my doctor being exposed to my YouTube channel prior to me seeing him is that he believed me. Now, I believe he would have believed me anyway because of all my symptoms and risk factors and the fact that he's a CSF leak specialist. He's like looking for people like me who fit our profile. The other doctors that I was going to that I was getting gaslit by, they're just not in the know about it. Like, they wouldn't have been able to help me even if they believed me. So yes, I don't want to pretend that there was no benefit at all to me being a YouTuber. I don't want to like downplay that or pretend it didn't happen at all. But that said, it did not help me at all with cutting in line or getting in to see the doctor or any of those steps that are actually usually the bottlenecks to getting in with one of these bigger specialists. My journey of getting from where I was to the doctor that changed my life started from that T0 when I was diagnosed with chronic migraine. I started looking up what the heck is the difference between chronic migraine and episodic migraine because I was a 10-year episodic migraine patient that went chronic. I was like, this is so weird. It totally feels like a completely different disease. I'm always in this weird haze, but I do get migraines, so I guess it's just chronic migraines. I felt like, though, that I was having symptoms in between migraine attacks. And that's the key little tiny detail that no doctor really ever picked up on. And these migraines were weird. They followed weird patterns over the day. They always seemed to happen at the same time of day or when I was doing the same things. They were just kind of weird for migraines, but I bought it. We started on the whole migraine protocol thing, and I was actually trying to turn to YouTube to find information about all of these steps that I was going through on my chronic migraine journey. So fast forward, my husband and I decided to move and everything because I was too disabled to keep working, and we decided that while I was at home and pregnant, I was going to make a YouTube channel to describe all of my chronic migraine symptoms and how absolutely crazy they were. I started this channel to raise awareness about migraine and the crazy symptoms around migraine and shout from the rooftops that migraine is so much more than just a headache. I was getting diagnosed with all sorts of weird different types of migraine. As my disease was progressing, I was told it was complex migraine, complicated migraine, basilar migraine, brainstem aura, vestibular migraine, and I went through a bunch of vestibular therapy, and I was documenting all of it on YouTube. So, 2020, while I was pregnant with baby A, I posted a video online that somehow caught someone's attention, and they said, "Hey Jen, have you ever been evaluated for a brain fluid leak?" And I was literally like, that's insane. Yeah, that's crazy. There's no way my brain fluid is literally leaking. But I Googled it. A lot of people have sent me a lot of pretty legit stuff, and I Googled it and I was like, actually that fits. That really fits. So I started watching talks on YouTube. I'm telling you, like, YouTube is just, there's so much information on here. And I found a couple of talks from CSF Leak Specialist doctors who really made me feel validated, who basically told my story. And I was like, wow, yeah, that could be it. But I was pregnant, so I had to wait until after I was pregnant, so we went forward a few months, and then after that few months, I revealed on YouTube that I thought that I was misdiagnosed. One test for CSF leak that doctors commonly ask you to do in the very beginning, outside of brain and spine MRI, is a 48-hour flat test. When baby A was about 3 or 4 months old, I did my 48-hour flat test, and I vlogged it here on YouTube. Little did I know, the CSF Leak Specialist actually saw my 48-hour flat test on YouTube. Happened to watch it. I've never met the guy. When I learned that he watched me on YouTube, my first reaction was like, you clicked on migraine, Jen. That's cute. But I mean, it's the 48-hour flat test, and he's a leak specialist, so I see why it piqued his interest. So he watched my flat test, and just like everyone else, he thought, oh, she should be evaluated. It's not like he was diagnosing me off the video, just like I wasn't diagnosing me before I was diagnosed either. But I was worth investigating. So he tried to send me an email. My friends, his email went to spam. His email went to spam. Can you believe it? Of all emails to go to spam, let me share. Google fails to filter out so many crappy sponsorship things from like weird places that I don't want to talk about. Google, why are you not filtering out those? But you're filtering out actual doctors from actual medical institutions. What are you doing? He didn't email from like a random Gmail. He emailed me. I'm gonna pull this up so you can hear what he said. Not gonna read the whole thing, but first off, that he did really love my flat test video. Thank you, thank you. Again, we had never met before. I was just a random YouTube, and again, he's a specialist, so he treats patients like me. He basically sent me a message that said, summarized, cool video, I loved it, that he watched a couple of follow-up videos to try to see how my story panned out, but spoiler alert, my story ended up going like this until I literally gave up on getting my leak evaluated, until all of this happened. So that's kind of sad. And he pointed out that it was kind of sad to see my elements of misadventure where I was like going all over the place. Anyway, then he said, I would like to make sure you get an evaluation that either me or a peer in the CSF leak treatment community would agree was thorough. And he reiterated to me, as the internet has done before, but no medical doctor usually does. He said, a normal MRI for your brain, a normal brain MRI, is not the end of the story. What a shame that that went to spam. And no, I literally never check my spam. So I didn't go see it. So then what happened? Not even a few days later, I'm on Instagram in my DMs. I'm going through my message requests. Got a new message request from someone who I've never talked to before. And she tells me something like, this doctor is trying to get a hold of you. He thinks you're leaking. And I was like, first off, who are you? Second off, no thank you. I have completely given up on being evaluated for this CSF fluid leak because I feel like I just keep getting made fun of every time I go into a doctor, and yeah, sorry, thanks, but no thanks. I literally told her no, but she kept pushing. She was like, no, I promise, I'm a leaker too. Get this. She said she was in his office for her appointment. He happened to bring up my YouTube channel. She took it upon herself to go to my YouTube channel, get in contact with me, and tell me that he thinks I should be evaluated. So then, okay guys, hold on though. It seems really exciting, but it's about to go downhill again. I ended up getting gaslit again on my way to him. The message from this girl convinced me to go ahead and try to get into his clinic. You follow? Because at this point, I didn't even know about the email. She was just like, no, he brought up your YouTube, I swear. And I just kind of thought she was crazy. I started trying to get in touch with his clinic. You guys know better than anyone that these CSF Leak Specialists are a hot commodity. So of course the clinic at first set me up with a colleague. I had to get through the colleague before I could get to the specialist, but I had the reason to go through the colleague because I was like, look, I just have to deal with this, and then once I get through her, I'll see the specialist. And he thinks I'm leaking. And I mean, at this point, it's hopeful thinking, it's trusting a stranger, but she seemed convinced. So anyway, get an appointment with her. You're not gonna believe what she told me. You actually probably will believe what she told me, because you've probably heard it too. This woman looks me dead in my face and tells me, I don't know why you're pushing so hard for invasive stuff like CT myelograms when you could just be taking Nurtec. Yeah, I just about lost my mind. I did just about lost my mind. On the one hand, I do drive a lot of doctors crazy. I realize that, because here's the thing. I go in complaining of all this stuff, all this pain, all these horrible things, and then they're like, well, do you want a pill to fix it? And I'm like, no thanks, I'm good. And so they're like, well, then how bad could it really be, right? If you don't even want pain pills for your pain, how bad could it really be? But it's because it's been like 6 years, 7 years. I'm tired of taking pills all the time and then being warned about medication overuse headaches. They have crazy side effects and they start killing my kidneys sometimes and weird things. I'm peeing brown, I'm fainting everywhere. I don't like all these weird like tingly sensations. No more pills. I don't need any more of the pills. I just want to know if I'm worth getting evaluated for a brain fluid leak. That's it. And actually, my friend, I would hate to get a CT myelogram. Just like every single other sane person on the planet, I'm not asking for a CT myelogram. I'm asking to be evaluated because my symptoms match something that might be cured, and you are instead trying to treat me for something that can't be cured. That was really, really awkward. She was like, why are you pushing for myelograms? And I was like, I'm not. I'm pushing to be evaluated because nobody has yet taken me seriously. And I don't want to hear you guys talking crap in the comments, because all of this is such new stuff. No doctor can possibly know everything about everything when it comes to everything in a human body. This is cutting edge research, especially CSF venous fistulas, and she's just doing her job. I have never taken CGRP for migraine. I've never tried it. She was right that it could be a decent thing for me to try. I do think that her wording could have been a little bit more gentle and a couple of other things. And I think that I was probably pissing her off a little bit because I was like, no, I'm not taking your pills. I think she was almost wondering why I was going to the appointment, like not realizing that I had an ulterior motive, that she wasn't my end goal, that I wanted to get to Mr. Hero. Bring him. Bring the legend. But yeah, I did have to suffer through this appointment first. I forgot about this. This doctor had the nerve to ask me, well, if you're really leaking, how did you give birth? Can you believe she asked me that? She like literally asked me that to my face. I was like, I don't know. That had me really defensive. It did. Especially because, like, God, how many times do I have to repeat myself that I don't think I'm leaking? Okay, now I do. Now that I've been treated and I feel better after treatment, now I do. But literally even the expert was like, but you gave birth? I know. I know I'm weird. I know I'm not presenting normally, but anyway, doesn't make it unlegit. This is where, actually, I might have lied a little bit in the beginning. This is where my YouTube situation did come in a tiny bit handy. So I had not mentioned to this doctor that I'm on YouTube. I don't mention it to any friends, any doctors, anybody, really, ever, because people start kind of acting weird if you say it. So I didn't tell her I was on YouTube. We're going through this appointment and she's gaslighting, telling me I should be on these pills and this other stuff. It turned into, if you can't beat them, join them. I eventually just started agreeing with her. I was like, look, you're right. I know I'm weird. I know I've been walking around with a leak for a very long time. If I'm leaking, I'm with you. I'm not 100% like the most disabled or furious leaker that there is. And that is why I gave up years ago. I told her that. I was like, I gave up. Last year, actually. At the time, it was a year ago. I even pointed out to her, yeah, I could take Nurtec, but that's a band-aid for the migraines and it's not addressing the symptoms outside of the migraines. Which again, to reiterate from the very beginning, I feel like that's the detail that most neurologists didn't want to hold on to. I was distinctly feeling stuff in between migraines when I was not in a migraine cycle, and it was not part of one of the other 4 phases of migraine. I know my symptoms, but anyway, I'm very, very fortunate that I went in there with a positive flat test and a positive brain scan, positive to the right eyes, because my brain MRI was actually read as normal at first. for years, because those two things being positive from before I gave up on the evaluation meant that I was able to bring them back up during this appointment with her to be like, look, I have a positive flat test. My brain MRI might be a little bit weird, so can you get me in for the evaluation? This doctor was going off of the fact that I had a brain MRI that was being read as normal. But at that point, I also had a positive flat test. And since I was going in there as a suspected leak patient, basically the deal was I was gonna see her and she was going to put together my case and go talk to the leak doctor and then see if he wanted to onboard me as a patient. So she went to him with my flat test results and my brain scan, and he took another look at those things and realized, oh, the brain scan does look wonky, the flat test, cool. And then from there, I got to actually become a patient of his, officially. I wasn't originally planning on having any takeaways, but we may as well have some takeaways here. One, don't give up. Even if you think you've found the hospital, you're in the clinic, you're with his colleagues, that colleague might still not know about CSF leaks. So don't feel discouraged. Keep going, doctor after doctor. Eventually, you will find the one. I promise. I can't promise that, but gosh, I sure hope you find the one, because what a difference. What a difference it's made. I also hope that this gives peace of mind to the three of you who were pretty upset that I got special treatment from being a YouTuber and someone just magically brought me into their leak clinic and that's why I'm getting healed. That's totally not how it happened. It wasn't even smooth sailing once I got connected to this doctor. I went through the normal patient channels just like you guys, and I'm really sorry that I don't have something like special that I can tell you about, like, oh, here's the trick, here's the magic thing to say. I feel like it really is just that you have to get to the right person who has seen this stuff before. And that's not always easy to do. I got there by the skin of my teeth, but I really, really hope that you find a way to get in with your doctor. And I will say, I was very, very excited about this doctor when I heard from that friend, she is now a friend, at the time she was a stranger, that he wanted to get in contact with me, or like that he thought I might be a leaker. Because when you log on to leak forums, there are just a handful of doctors who tend to come up a lot, who tend to actually do a really good job and push for their patients and not gaslight people. And I was really excited because this was a name that I wasn't like super familiar with, but I definitely recognized from the leak forums, and I was like, oh, like I can actually know some things about this guy before I go and commit to all of this. Because the other thing is, as you guys know, I do have to fly to go see him. Even the Zoom appointments, you have to be in the same state for a lot of like insurance things and a lot of hospitals. A ton of travel, and it potentially would not have been worth it to me to start trying on this process with this particular clinic if I didn't feel like there really was gonna be a rainbow at the end of the tunnel, a pot at the end of the rainbow. Gold in the pot. Who in their right mind would choose something on the wrong side of the country on purpose? Not me. Obviously not ideal with the location and everything. But so freaking worth it, right? So freaking worth it. And again, I encourage you to not give up, because I gave up. I gave up on this. For the rest of my life, I can have this now instead of migraine Jen. I never should have given up. By the way, y'all are probably gonna ask, and no, I have not been back to see her again to tell her that I'm fixed, but yes, I'm gonna. When I decide my point, what exactly I want to tell her in that appointment. Because I don't want to go in and just be like, hey, I told you so. Because that's not the point. The point is like, oh, hey, by the way, just so you know, for future patients. So I need to make sure I'm not feeling any type of way before I go in there for that. And I also need to decide exactly like what messages am I trying to get across? What's the point? Because otherwise you're just going in and being spiteful. I have tons of doctors to go and talk to like this. Will they even recognize me when I'm not leaking me? I don't know, guys. I've changed so much now. I found another email between me and the doctor, personal email, before I was a patient. Guys, remember, oh gosh, let me turn on my lights. I finished filming, I was putting everything away. I plugged in my camera to put the files on the computer, and then I went to my phone to just double check how my husband is doing, and I still had that email open from the doctor, and I noticed that there's another thread between the two of us that I completely didn't remember. Because remember, the message that he sent to me went to spam. But then I sent him a message because of that Instagram message that I got from that girl who said that he was trying to contact me. So I did like a Hail Mary email and I just sent him an email. I totally forgot about that. I sent him an email and I said, hi, I'm Migraine Jen. Someone on the internet told me that you wanted to talk to me, and I'm not sure if it's true, but hey, if it's true, Hi, I'm Migraine Jen. Gosh, this is such a weird thing to go through. Anyway, he did email me back, and he said that he thought watching the video of me doing the 48-hour flat test was convincing enough that I should be evaluated by someone in the field, not just told that I'm insane. Since he had already seen my flat test on YouTube, I wanted to obviously send him my brain MRI, but to do that, I have to like be a patient and go into the patient portal and all of that. So he was like, cool, let's get your MRIs and stuff sent to my clinic. We'll get the flat stuff sent to my clinic. And then from here on out, no more email communications because you're gonna be a patient. So we're just gonna talk in that like patient portal, you know? So that's where the email cuts off. I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna send you my MRI. And then that's it. So of course I totally forgot about that because everything else has been on the chart thing. But how crazy is that? So that probably also gave me more confidence in that crappy appointment with the doctor because I already knew that the leak specialist guy had seen my MRIs. And I don't know if he had looked at it at that point, but at least I knew he wanted to see the MRIs. So I think at that point I was probably pretty hopeful that I would, I don't know, maybe be on a schedule, or at least I would be able to get like a patient portal message from him that I was normal. But at least then I was connected. That's so interesting. That's crazy. I guess the moral of the story is, from here, head over to the brain MRI results so that you can analyze your own brain MRI and see if you have this pachymeningeal enhancement that nobody saw on mine, but it's really obvious. And then go see if you can show it to a neurologist and be like, is this normal? And then maybe that'll get some red flags going. Because I feel like really all it took for me was 1 or 2 somewhat funny looking tests for me to get sent actually truly to the right place. Gosh, I'm just so hopeful for you guys. I want you guys to get there. I really do. I wish I could patch you. Wish I could patch you.